I took a sabbatical for a couple of months. I was like, I'm going to be a founder. I'm this, I will do this. And I told myself, I'm that, right? And then I had 100 of interviews with 100 of people to find exactly what makes my heart beat faster. And only after my first psychedelic journey, I was so blown away. I mean, blown away doesn't even do justice to what I felt, but I understood in that moment, this is exactly what I've been looking for. This is what I feel like I want to contribute to the world. But then we moved to Berlin, and then I quit the job, and then again this self-doubt came in, and I remember like lying here on the couch and just crying and being like, how in this world, I know kind of, a direction I want to go in, but Anna, you don't have the credibilities, you've not done science in that field, you're not, you're not this, that, da 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 da. This one morning I go to yoga, 7:30 something in the morning, and then they're like, oh yeah, we tried to call you, the yoga class is cancelled. And I was like, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I just go to this cafe and I journal, and I sit there, and all of a sudden I hear a woman speak to another woman, and they start talking about psychedelics. And then they speak about body-mind connection and how it has such a huge healing potential. I'm like, shut up. Like, these people are speaking exactly about what I want to do. And then I was like, okay, fuck, I need to talk to this woman. So she gets up and leaves, and I'm like, I get up, I run after her. I'm like, hello, I just eavesdropped your conversation. I'm sorry, but I need to talk to you. I love what you're doing. And then she's like, okay, kind of overran. And then, yeah, this woman I met introduced me to this entire scene. She introduced me to the psychedelic world.
Today we're talking about something very, very powerful that in the world of entrepreneurship, especially in Silicon Valley, is becoming more and more of a norm. Although I must say, be careful and don't do this on your own without medical advice. We are entering into the world of psychedelics, and Sophie Spitzer, a founder that tells us all her story from self-doubt, criticism, into finding her dharma and building a company that can help other founders, other entrepreneurs reach levels of their mindset that they couldn't know they existed before. So I'm sure you're going to love this. Keep watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hello there, and welcome back to the Founders Bible. Hi, Sophie. How's it going?
Hi, Ale. It's going great. Thank you.
Wonderful. You're calling from sunny Berlin, I imagine, in the summer? Like 20 hours a day of light, kind of?
Kind of. Yeah, it's been very dark and rainy, unfortunately.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
So the very first question to break the ice, as usual here at the Founder Bible, is why the heck are you a founder? You are in the first venture now, middle of the trenches, as I'd say. So guide us through your journey.
Yeah. I've never been asked that question, and I thought about it for a little, and I have to say, I think the biggest reason why I am a founder is twofold. One, because my environment has been founders for the past, I would say, 10 years. So ever since my education, it's just been entrepreneurship and innovation and entrepreneurs and founders. And the second part is that I've been echoed by my environment that I am a founder and that I am an entrepreneur. And what that already tells you, my answer is that there's a lot of imposter and a lot of, no, not me, everyone else, but not me. No, I'm not so good. This is not for me. I'm not hardcore enough. So yeah, I would say that these are actually the two reasons why I made this step, and now slowly but surely start seeing and believing that I am a founder and I am an entrepreneur, and yeah, that it just took some time and some pushes from the outside for me to see that.
Amazing. Another very recurring question I keep asking, because I love the behind the stories of the success story, it's really about what have been the walls that you hit smashed on your face, like the hard lessons learned throughout the journey so far.
I think and I especially think this is a topic for women. It's that it's not always that push, 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 hard, 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 more, 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 right? This very male dominated narrative of burn yourself out, otherwise you're not a proper founder or you're not worthy, and really softening into being allowed to take a rest and actually seeing that when you take a rest, a lot of times the greatest ideas come, right? And you're the most efficient and productive when you just take a break for a moment. And this is specifically lived in my reality because my partner, my fiance, to be precise, is exactly that type of founder. Also works in the Web3 space. So I don't think there's any harder push, more volatile, intense industry. And yeah, he's also faced 3 burnouts already himself. And
And
quite
did you
frankly,
diagnose it yourself, or was he able to recognize it?
yeah, that he actually says he's not in one right now because I'm keeping his balance and I'm keeping him in check, which I think is also a very interesting topic to cover in general. Entrepreneur couples in that sense. And yeah, before that we only met 2.5 years ago. So the burnouts were before that, his 3 burnouts. So what he actually did, and this is also great arch of how I got into what I'm doing right now, which is psychedelics. So he actually self-cured his burnouts with microdosing psychedelics, because one of the great things upon many others that psychedelics do is that they bring you back closer to yourself, and they make you connect more, and they make you feel more. They get you out of this numbness of, you're in this tornado and you can't think of anything anymore than just, getting the numbers straight, or like getting that delivered. And yeah, through that, he also introduced me into that world. So yeah, I would say, now coming back to your question, the hardest walls I've hit, I would say, are definitely with self-doubt. Self-doubt of not being worthy of what I'm doing, not being, especially if you have somebody that is performing like that 24/7 around the clock, and then you are, next to that person. It's specifically hard. It's specifically hard. And maybe for more context, I've just recently found it. So my baby is 5 months old. It's called Kinisi.
Wow.
And yeah, so before that, I was in the founding team of a software startup back in 2020, during Corona, but I wouldn't say that was really like the true founder story. We were a pretty big team. We were 6 people, and there I mean, it was an entrepreneurship story and or startup story, in the sense that we slept in the office, had shifts at 6 a.m. in the morning. It was just like, 15 square meter office for 5 people, moldy walls. Like, it was really crazy, but we had one mission, one purpose, and we were just going. So, yeah. And after that, I actually quit that because I wanted to become a founder myself, because I've been echoed that but then I didn't know what to put my energy in. And I had ideas and I had directions, right? But I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And this is when the first wave of self-doubt hit. Like, I took a sabbatical for a couple of months. I was like, I'm going to be a founder. I'm this, I will do this. And I told myself, I'm that, right? And then I had 100 of interviews with 100 of people to find exactly what makes my heart beat faster. And then at some point, I mean, money issues just got very, very pressing, and I didn't really have any other out um, than taking on another job, which I thought excited me, but looking back, it didn't really. I just really had to pay my bills, and again, I was for months basically lying on my yoga mat and trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I want, right? I'm talking to so many people echo me things that they think would be great for me, but then there's like, what do I want? What is it that I care about? And this, I would also say, this actually propelled me on my on my self-healing, self-finding journey. And I would say that building your company is extremely aligned with building yourself and finding yourself. And yeah, just these months of lying on my yoga mat, questioning everything that I've done. At this point, I had 3 degrees, right? And I just studied because everyone told me, you're great, right? Do this, da da dum. I was like, yeah, if I could do this, then I'm gonna be great. And then I did this and I understood I'm not great. I felt exactly the opposite of that, right? And so, and then all these pressures from also family, like I mean, I know it's families are different, but it's like if you don't come from a background where they can like, just endlessly provide, they're like, you're unemployed now, loser, right? You're never gonna get a job again, da da da. And all of a sudden, the support system that you thought that always has your back doesn't, and then you don't have money. And then and at that point also the oil and gas prices were rising so much I couldn't pay my bills anymore all of a sudden because they just doubled, and I was eating potatoes basically every day. But I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I always had a choice, right? I was in a way privileged position than many other people. But yeah, so this was, I would say, the first smack. And then I took another job, which I thought I was aligned, but it wasn't really. I mean, kind of, but not really. And only after my first psychedelic journey, that's a different story how I got there. I was so blown away. I mean, blown away doesn't even do justice to what I felt, but I understood in that moment, this is exactly what I've been looking for. This is what I feel like I want to contribute to the world. This knowledge of this magic, right? And knowing that brought me a step closer to my founding, but just knowing about something and building a business around it is a completely different thing, right? So what then happened is I mean, for many people after transformative psychedelic trips, and here just as a disclaimer, psychedelics are not for everyone. If you want to do it, please, seek out medical advice before, especially if you have schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, or that in your family. Don't touch it. But yeah, do your research yourself. It's not for everyone. So like many people that have transformative trips, I changed country. I changed I quit the job. I was like, no, I got engaged. It was like so many things happened because they just seemed to be aligned. But then we moved to Berlin, and then I quit the job. And then again, this self-doubt came in. And I remember like lying here on the couch and just crying and being like, how in this world, I know kind of, a direction I want to go in, but nah, you don't have the credibilities. You've not done science in that field. You're not, you're not this, that, da 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 dum.
You don't have a
And then,
certification.
yeah, you don't have a certification. You can't do this. And then I was just again, devastated, crying, and I couldn't believe it that after all the rebuilding and self-doing and everything I've done for myself, I was yet again at this point. And I, also seeing my fiance becoming a hugely successful company, which, fantastic, but the delta was just huge. And what then hit was a complete wave of anxiety and panic attacks, and to the point where I couldn't even leave the house anymore. I I I've always been more on the anxious side in terms of personality, but this whole mess just dragged me down a hole that I couldn't be, getting myself out anymore. And the only thing that got me out of bed during that time was yoga. So this one morning I wake up. I mean, when you're in this phase, everything is useless. You're numb. You're just like, why do I even, exist? So I didn't turn on my phone ever. It was always in airplane mode. Also trying to, avoid any outside anything, just isolating myself. And then I go to yoga 7:30 something in the morning, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we tried to call you. The yoga class is canceled." And I was like, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. And I chronically have my journal with me. So I just go to this cafe and I journal and I sit there, and all of a sudden I hear a woman speak to another woman, and they start talking about psychedelics. And I'm like, and then they speak about body mind connection and how it has such a huge healing potential. And I mean, now thinking about it, my heart still races. I'm like, shut up. Like, these people are speaking exactly about what I want to do. Like, I've not met a person who did that, right? So it's like I was getting so nervous, and I actually still have it in my journal, being like, what the fuck, universe, question mark. And then I was like, okay, fuck, I need to talk to this woman. So she gets up and leaves, and I'm like, I get up, I run after her. I'm like, hello, I just eavesdropped your conversation. I'm sorry, but I need to talk to you. I love what you're doing. And then she's like, okay, kind of overran. And then, yeah, this woman I met introduced me to this entire scene. She introduced me to the psychedelic world, especially in Europe. And I got to know a lot of other amazing people in this space. And I saw that there was a place, a time, and a market for my idea, for my passion, right? And yeah, this is how I then founded Kinisi. So
Wow.
really at
Wow.
the lowest point of my despair, of where I couldn't even get myself out of bed anymore, I sit there and I listen. And yeah, I still get goosebumps thinking about it. Imagine I had not talked to imagine.
I've spent the last year asking top founders for their secret sauce. And the honest answer, there isn't just one. Yet, the internet keeps selling us a one recipe fits all. At Whole Grain Wisdom, we're building the tools to help you craft your own recipe so that your mind, body, and energy are fully aligned and you can perform under pressure without burning out. Our recipe is very simple. This podcast shares raw stories from founders who really had the courage to jump off the hamster wheel and rebuild their operating system without hustle. The newsletter is where I go deeper into the science and protocols behind re engineering flow and performance. And ultimately, we are running founders only retreats around the world to create the space for real transformation. And to be honest, that's where really the magic happens. Whole Grain Wisdom is where science meets ancient wisdom. It's where we become quantum founders, the entrepreneurs led by inner energy and flow and not finite willpower. If this resonates with you, then join us at wholegrainwisdom.com. Okay, now back to the show. It's crazy. I get the goosebumps too. And it reminds me once again how there's something bigger out there that is slowly connecting stuff. And I'm in a journey myself to work with it. I would say fully acknowledge it. It's I've had some interesting conversation with other founders that got to the same level of realization. I feel that somehow the vibration of this founder Bible and other things that like a new movement of founders that I'm I'm starting to call the the term that I'm starting to use is the quantum founder, which is the founder that is driven by inner purpose rather than the perishable willpower. And like what I'm seeing in these conversations, and it's actually 1 year almost that I'm having these interviews with founders, is the pattern is always the same. To be really honest, 3 out of 4 founders are neurodiverse, so pretty much the majority. We are the black sheeps of every other normal situation. We live through this constant being different scenario through childhood. This brings on a lot of accumulated trauma. We can talk only about the current life. If you're very spiritual, we can talk about other deeper stuff, but that's another conversation. And we're constantly proving the world that we are worthy. And as long as we keep going through the external validation motor, we're just going to be fucked up and burn out at some point, until the time that you actually understand, okay, there's a line, and that's the line you should walk. And the let's say the sooner you get to on this path, which is not like straight, let's be very clear, but it's a very clear line at least. And the sooner you get there, the sooner everything starts to happen for a reason. It's a very beautiful story. I have a Actually, the whole green wisdom started with a very similar story. I was a burnout founder myself. After 10 years with a company that was not going anywhere, 2 years ago, I got married in Colombia. We got back to Colombia. We lived with my wife for a while there in the past, and we got married with a shaman. We did a shamanic ritual. We went through other experiences and natural plant medicine and so on, and like everything clear, aligned. But then it took a while, it took 9 months to take a proper decision. And after that, I mean, the journey, like what I like to say is, the like life is not like a movie that you get to the turning point and then papam, fast forward 5 years, that's what happens. No, you still need to live those 5 years. You still need to get through the shit, and still need to work your own way out. So that's a beautiful story. I'm very curious to hear now something, because you're an expert on psychedelics and you have a certification. No, but jokes aside, I've talked to a lot of founders that are very interested about these topics. I am a very big believer. I've done also microdosing myself for a 40 days protocol. It completely changed, or like the way I do business. And I will do definitely more, but everything comes at a time. But so many people are scared. They're rightly scared because, as you said, it's not for everyone. It needs to be done in the right way. But to a founder that is scared, the traditional, like the general answer would be, I love this, but let me do it when I have less workload, when I maybe already exited my company, like I don't really have to think about it. The real problem is that you should actually do it before doing all the rest. So how, guide me through here, like what's your story, even personal, to get to the realization that how this stuff work, why this works, why it's important to acknowledge it, why it's important to do it as soon as possible.
So many huge questions.
Yeah.
And first of all, thank you so much for sharing a little about your story. I love it. I've had similar experiences with my partner, and I can say they are truly transformational. About your question, where to start? I mean, I could talk about that for days. So if we say, okay, somebody's listening now and is scared, and I would say that I would actually start with the question, why are you scared? And what is it that makes you scared? And then show the people quite some research. I also noticed, and when I talk to people, because most of the people are scared about it the first time, if they've never tried it, especially if they've never tried any other substance than psychedelics, I mean, than alcohol, sorry. Um, they're super skeptical. And here, maybe as a little side note, I also just recently published a Substack about that. I only tried psychedelics and with that substances for the first time 2.5 years ago. I had a terrible, terrible first experience when I was 15. I was on an exchange semester in the US and I was at my first party. It was the second week of high school. And then somebody handed me something that looked like a cigarette. And coming from Europe, you know how to smoke a cigarette with 15, right? So I smoked this, but I didn't understand that it wasn't a cigarette. It was a joint. And I completely knocked out. Like I that night I thought I was going to die on a different continent with people I didn't know, right? 15. So that experience was so deeply ingrained in my body. I also just recently wrote your blog on the body keeps the score. And yeah, so my body kept freaking score forever. Because every time I would see just people on TV doing drugs or anything alike, I would get anxiety, but I didn't understand that this wasn't normal. So yeah, I had a huge, huge fear, but of course, alcohol I was accustomed to, so I didn't scare that. I wasn't scared of that. And then when I met my partner, one of the first things he said when he met me, he was like, "You're into psychedelics, right?" It's like, what? What? No. What? He's saying I'm taking drugs? What kind of person is this, right? No. But then he did everything to educate me, right? And basically handed me the foundation of everything I know now. Frankly, this book, Let Me, which I can recommend everyone, by Professor David Nutt. I actually also met him. He's a legend. And yeah, so I was shit scared. I exactly know how it feels like. I thought I was like debating so long, am I going to do it or not? And I always thought I was going to die when I do substances. So I have 100% understanding for everyone that is scared. um, and frankly, you will be scared also the first time you take it because you just don't know. You just don't know. But, and I think this is the most important thing, you need to feel like it is the right time for you. I cannot promise you that you will not be scared, but I can promise you that when you feel it is the right time for you, it is exactly the right moment to do it. And besides that, one of the, or like two main rules we always say, which you of course know, is set and setting. One, set, is your mindset. So how do you think about it? How is your approach to it? You should see it always as an opportunity to grow, as an invitation, right? To have really loose feelings about it and not be negative or anxious. If you're ever anxious about it, don't do it. Or like the moments before. And then setting, who are you with? Where are you? Are you in a safe place? Are you with people you love, you can trust? This makes a huge difference in how your trip will go. And that's what I usually say. Like the fear doesn't go away, but you can tweak on a lot of wheels, right, to make it great the first time. And the last one that I would also say is dosage, right? If you're scared of a huge dose, start with a small one. And this is actually also what I would recommend now everyone do, to start with a smaller dose to just, get a little feeling of how it tinkers with you. And then when you feel ready, take the big dose.
Let's clarify this. There is no medical advice nor invitation here, right? Do it with an
Yeah.
expert. It makes me feel the first time that I ever drank alcohol in my life. I think I got a pina colada because the guys next to me were doing shots, and I was like, shots too much this time.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so guide me a little bit on how all of this inner journey reflected actually and mirrored back into the outside of who are you as a founder now, because that's really the most powerful thing. And I really want to get like people understand. There are some other interviews with other founders that are very well ahead, let's say, of their own journey with these substances as well. And they all told me the moment you start working within yourself, all of the work that you do inside then automatically reflects outside. What's been the journey for you on this?
Well, first of all, I founded Kinisi. So that's, really taking the step and doing it and feeling that not just what the others tell me is true, but I feel that it is true. It is my truth. The second thing I would say is that I have such a deep commitment to my mission, and I feel it in every cell of my body. I know this is exactly the right path, and I will endure no matter what it takes. It's for me also not like I don't seek for an exit, and I mean, who knows where Kinesi, where it will transition to. We're talking 5 months in, right? But I know I'm in this for 40, 50 years, and I'm happy to watch this recording in 40, 50 years because I just so deeply know I found my dharma. I don't know, or ikigai, you can call it, right? This is it. And when you have that and that feeling, it puts everything else into perspective. Also failures, also downs, also moments of questioning, right? Of course, there are micro moments of question, but meta or macro speaking, there is no doubt about my journey and about my path and about the impact that I want to have on this world. So I would say the second thing, like I said, is deep sense of purpose and mission alignment. And this gives me the power to give 110% in what I do. And I would also say the third part, because as a corollary of the second, is that when people speak to me, or I talk to people about psychedelics or healing, they feel that it's authentic. They feel that this is what I'm doing is true, and this is the most meaningful to me. And hence, I've seen that advocacy work I do is a lot more fruitful than it used to be in the past, because now I just know and I believe in it so much that it also has a completely different ripple effect on others. And in terms of how I use psychedelics on a more regular base, here again, if you want to do it, please see or seek medical advice and check for yourself. But I do microdosing on and off. Now what I do usually is whenever I feel like it, I just take a little microdose, and I get very creative, and I get like in this flow of things, and I strategically use it. Like I would do it maybe once a month, so not too much, just to, sometimes when I feel like it. And this is maybe another fact that is worth mentioning, what psychedelics do, because you can read up on the neuroscience a lot in the internet, but one of the main things that it does, it increases neuroplasticity, so your brain's ability to rewire and reorganize itself. And what it does then is it makes you be a lot more in tune with yourself, and also out of that makes you have a lot healthier habits automatically. I used to smoke quite a bit, and after my first psychedelic trip, I quit. I didn't even want to quit, right? But it just happened as a side effect. I also personally struggled for quite a while with body dysmorphia. So because I was overweight as a child, da da dum. In my whole adolescence was basically just around counting calories, which also dissolved. I didn't even mean to tackle it. And this sounds like a panacea. It isn't. But what I'm trying to bring across here is that psychedelics, in a lot of ways, help you treat your body and your environment in a more healthy way. And this is also why it's crucial for mental health, and why my company Kinisi is not just, for people who want to do a trip once. I mean, of course, do it, right? But it's more about a long-term rewiring for setting you up for greatness in your life through, enhanced mental health, mental well-being. And we're now also talking about this whole longevity topic, neuro wellness. So just recently, a study came out by, I think, in beginning of July by NGP, where they found that cellular lifespan of mice was increased through psychedelics. And while this is only the first finding, and mice are not human cells, right? There's a lot to dig deeper there. It's it's super promising, and not just for health, but mental health. And this opens
Yeah.
up the entire bucket of mental health crises. Like I said, I could talk for hours.
It's yeah, I mean, for me, you're kind of like knocking on an open gate, but I'm happy that there's somebody else other than me saying this on the show, because Holgren wisdom is all about this. Holgren wisdom is about meeting halfway between the science and the ancient wisdom. If you look in the prehistorical, like pre-agricultural tribes, and all of the ancient wisdom that is there, all of the culture use these kind of substances around the world to access higher consciousness, to be solving much more creative problems. I mean, it's nothing new, to be honest. We're just going back to the past, and we are actually using the lens of like the narrative of science to finally like pep talk ourselves to say, yeah, like now that the studies are out there, we can actually confirm it. Yeah, they knew it since thousands of years, but we needed a peer reviewed study to confirm it. It's okay. Anybody, everyone needs their own timing, and that's perfectly fine. um, Let me end this conversation with my last question, which is you said, like like I've been through this journey, I've done some experiences, but I also know these substances are not for everyday use, otherwise they become completely another thing. So on an everyday basis, how do you keep yourself, in tune? How do you keep at peak performance? How do you stay focused? How do you make sure that your body's in balance, your mind is in balance, etc., etc.? Because it's definitely not, you have the best vision ever for yourself, but I guess that's still not enough to keep you rigorous, right?
Mm, yeah. I have, as so many others, a morning routine, so I can walk you through it quickly
Yeah,
if you want
definitely.
to. I always drink a glass of warm water in the morning is the first thing for the gut. And then I do breath work. I do Wim Hof breath work for around 2 or 3 rounds. It just helped me also with my anxiety to ground for the day. Then I add 10 minutes of meditation. Sometimes I go longer. And then I read. I read for around about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on what my time allows. And I understood that this is fundamental for me to be in a state where I woo woo attract abundance and yeah, and magic happens. And another thing, especially, I didn't even touch upon that. I also have ADHD, and another thing that that fundamentally changed my stability of performance was movement. So with anxiety, also I got into the habit of running, and there are actually studies that show that I think 3 times a week 30-minute jog is equal to taking SSRIs, so mild antidepressants in that study. So I really found that to be helpful, and also helps me to fall asleep, because as I think you also know, racing thoughts, minds at night, especially an unmoved body, gets tough. So this is what I do. And lastly, which I'm I can say that I'm proud of myself that I managed to do that now. I completely shifted my frame when it comes to triggers. I see every trigger as an invitation to check in with me and be like, why are you off balance? You know, what is it right now? Do you need a little more care? So 10 years ago, I would be like, you're stupid, work harder, da da da, you know, just beating myself up. And now it's the polar opposite. I'm like, okay, wow, hey, I'm here to hold you. Let's take a break for 5 minutes, right? And I have to say, also teaching that my fiance is the biggest joy for me to see how this has also transformed not just his everyday, but also his work performance and output is, yeah, immensely rewarding.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, what is next? What is next for you in terms of, I don't know, new habits that you have in the bucket list, new things beside the business that you're working on? How can people find you? How can the community support you, or even how can work with you?
Oh, yes. Well, my website is kinisi.life. So I'm happy to, when you give come there and just check it out or find me on LinkedIn, Sophie Spitzer. So what I'm currently working on, which I think is so exciting, is I'm similar to you. I'm trying to really amalgamate modern science with ancient wisdom. And a lot of ancient wisdom practices also include somatic work, so body work, and getting really your body into everything. And where Kinesi is headed is creating personalized habit protocols based on top of your neuro flexibility through psychedelics, but also work without psychedelics, right? And I'm currently creating a program where we combine somatic practices, to be precise, because everyone is so scared of the word tantric practices. So tantra is a philosophy. Most people think about sex, but it definitely is also a lot other than sex, a lot of body energy work, and combining these two practices, and with that, seeing how you can just through little tweaks step into a more meaningful life for yourself.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Sophie, for being on the show, being especially very, very honest about your journey. I hope that can be inspiring for anyone else that is out there in the middle of this crisis, and definitely there's a way out.
There is.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Al. It was amazing to speak to you.
Bye bye.